everyone. I'll have a go at this, showing you how I breed maggots, and pretty similar system that everybody in Australia uses. I'll just show you the box first. So essentially it's just a melamine box. I'll just squish the lot cleaner some years ago. It's all fly shit and stuff on there. On the front, it's got a mine, just a fly screen that I've made. In theory, we pull up and you could pull out to clean. One probably last cleaned 5 years ago. I've got just a dimmer, you can see that, just a switch with a dimmer on it to adjust the temperature. Other people have thermostats. The reason I don't bother with a thermostat, I have in the past a thermostat, I find it's not necessary. The globes are mounted right at the top, so you've got really hot at the top and a gradient of temperature, so it gets cooler as you go down. I think, and look, I haven't bothered putting out, I have got a temperature thermometer in here. I think they prefer around 30 degrees Celsius is the best temperature, but at the moment it's getting really cold. So what happens is, although it doesn't look so much like it at this point in time, the flies can find whereabouts in the box they need to be to get the heat. That's the idea. And when it's really cold in winter, I just get like one of these old mealworm bags, and I'll just sort of tuck that under here to just keep the temperature in. Obviously, if you live in freezing cold places, you're going to need some other way of doing that. Now, in my case, we're actually in a barn on a rural property, so the fact that there's quite a few flies flying around is not significant. I have, so inside this box, I'll go through the containers in a minute as I take them out, but there's basically sugar. In my case, I use dark brown sugar because I'm using it from the honey or the nectar anyway, and that's for the flies to eat. There's also a bran and milk mix, which is what they lay their eggs in and that the maggots grow out in. No meat at all. And then I have 2 containers that have got, and because of the way I do my rotation, that have got pupae that are going to hatch into the next generation of flies. The whole life cycle is, depends on the time of year, but it's not much. It's between 7 and 10 days, I'd say, from when the egg's laid until it pupates and hatches as a fly. You can slow that down, of course, you can put it in the fridge, you can also, I mean the pupae lasts a long time, even the maggots will last 2 weeks in the fridge. But I find they're not great in the fridge, to be honest, but obviously you guys in Europe are using them that way. Now, this box, this one here has got what I'm going to feed out today. So, I don't know if you'll be able to see in there, but I feed them when, see there's some, I hope that's focusing because I'm on my own here, there's some pupae, or quite a bit of pupae. I like it to have about half pupae, half maggot. So that's the sort of time that I feed it out, and there's heaps more under here as well, of course. So they'll be fed out, those will be fed out today, and in fact, from that same container was fed out yesterday. So I feed out from the one of these containers every second day. So my box, this single box, produces one of these containers of maggots. So this is one that won't be fed out until tomorrow. So you can see there at a different stage. They haven't started to turn into pupae yet. And we're going to make up a new one of those in a minute. So, all right, let's go. I stir these every day, so I'll give this a stir. But this, as I said, won't be fed out until tomorrow. This will be tomorrow and the day after. That produces enough for mine. You can actually produce a lot more than this from one box if you wish. We'll pop that into it as well. Doing that for a bit of time. Right, let's go. So, what do I leave my container. This is the container that goes in my big aviary that I'll split up. So I'll put in what I'm going to feed out. So I sort of use something like that. I leave a little bit in the bottom, because that is going to be for the next generations that goes back in the box, so that they're pupae that hatch into fresh flies. Just whack them up there for now. So that gives me an empty container. In this container, this is the critical bit I suppose, I put hot water. 2 parts hot water. So maybe you can see a bit better. So I'm using a container this size, but it doesn't matter, I mean, if I get the ratios right, of course. I put 1 part hot water. Use hot water because it just means the bran absorbs it quicker and the milk powder I'm going to put in a minute will dissolve much better. If you use cold water, it's a bit hard for that to happen. So 2 of hot water, like so. Milk powder. Now, it's not baby formula, that's just the container I'm using there. I'll go and grab what I do use in a minute, but very accurately measured. So there's that much in there. I probably put, look, it wouldn't even be a cup, but a good sprinkle, something like that. Okay, so that sort of looks, I don't know if you can see, obviously I can't hold it up. I'll put that there, so that much. Then, same sort of container, dry one, of bran. What's bran? So it is this stuff, right? Just normal, everyday, produce store variety of horse bran. So 2 parts of that go in. Take the milk down in a minute too, which is just carb raising formula. So 2 parts, 2 of those go in there. Over here. This is the stuff I use, but you can just use any full cream milk powder. So this is, I don't know, whatever it is, half milk replacer. But the point is it's a full cream milk powder. Here's the bloody budgies in the background. Budgies and lorikeets, sorry man. Anyway, that's the milk powder that I obviously just whacked it into old baby container. So then stir it around. Now the consistency of this is pretty wet. It should just, I find we're doing equal water, equal bran means the bran just soaks up all the liquid. So you basically got, in terms of the flies, the reality is, I mean, yeah, the bran's got the rest of the main protein, but it's the milk powder that's the main protein source for the flies and the maggots. There are other people who use the bran, I think, is the outer part of the wheat. The pollard is a bit closer, and then of course flour itself, which is the higher protein. There's other people who use pollard and stuff like that. I've been doing this for I don't know how long. Too long. Well, looking at that fly box, I would say I haven't put the fly box out for about 5 years, so they're going a lot longer than that. Well, they're doing a lot longer than that. And stuff like that. Now, the reality is that that's pretty well mixed through. It doesn't look wet, it doesn't look dripping wet, but I'll show you. If you were to grab some of that and squeeze it like this, right, it is pretty wet. See, it's like it's dripping. All right, so squeezing it's pretty wet, but it's soaked up all the milk. Because the damn flies are pretty shit and they'll drown. So you don't want open liquid in the box, otherwise the flies will jump in and drop dead. And it sort of depends a bit on the weather too. If it's really humid, you can probably get away with it being a bit drier, because I think some people put water, like with a wick sort of a thing, to provide moisture for the flies. I don't bother. I've got a spray bottle, so if it's hot, because obviously with Australia, if it gets hot and dry, I'll just blow a hole in the box here. I'll just give them a bit of a spray through there to give them a bit of moisture. But this time of year, it's getting cooler down here. I don't bother. So this is to put in the box for the flies to lay their next round of eggs in. So what I'm doing, all this stuff I'm doing now, I do every second day. The other day, all I do is just feed it out and give the developing eggs to so I've got that one there, which is where the maggots, the eggs and the maggots that are going to take a second hatch and grow out. That goes on top of the fly box. The top of the fly box is warm because the lights are just below that, and particularly when you've got container on there, the heat comes through it, so that's important. If it's too cold, obviously nothing will happen. And that one's to go in. So then I open this up. I just use, some people use stockings, but I've found that I just spend your life replacing stockings. Whereas this old muslin mealworm bag, I've been in there for years. Last like liver. Now, obviously, some flies are going to get out through there. Doesn't matter, I'm in a barn. Bit of a drone if you're doing it in your somewhere else. Pull this out, straight out. Now, unfortunately, that hasn't been cleaned for a long time. So that's brown sugar. I like a bit more in. I used to use cube sugar and white sugar, and then one day I was thinking, why the hell am I putting white sugar in here? I've already got this dark brown sugar to make up my nectar. So I'll just start using brown sugar and all the same length of it. That's that ready, so they've got something to eat. Now that, yeah, look, you might only do that once a week or so. Then this is the one that I'm going to mix through. So if you look here, I hope you can see, there's all little maggots there just starting to hatch. If I turn this over, probably see as I do it, it's dried out, it's a bit chunky. But if I turn this over, there's absolutely millions of them in here. That goes in and there's eggs as well. They haven't necessarily hatched. So that goes into here. Get rid of most of them. Put them in there. So that I'll hold that place for a minute. There's absolutely thousands and thousands of tiny little maggots. And on the hard bits there's still more eggs that'll hatch as well. So that goes in there and gets mixed up, ready to grow out. And then it'll sit there tomorrow, I'll give it a stir. So this box, this container here, sit there to sit up on the box. And move that one forward because that's going to be fed out tomorrow. This one goes to the back where it's a little bit warmer, so it's directly above the light. Stir that through. So they're all mixed up. This time tomorrow, that will be absolutely seething with maggots in there. So that just sits up there, stays there until the time again tomorrow. We've got that one to go in. I also grab one of these. Now if you look in here, that one there, so this hasn't been touched for, now hang on, the one at the front would have been 2 days ago when I did this process with that one, right? So that was 2 days ago. Then 2 days before that, so this is 4 days ago, this one went in with some pupae. Now in there, there's still a few by the look of it, they haven't hatched, but basically that's all hatched pupae. So it's no good, I'll just toss it, I'll just toss it in the grass outside here. Now check out the cleanliness, watch this. To watch this stuff, so this is like oil on here, you need to actually use, you can't, hot water just won't do it. You've got to have detergent, pretty heavy detergent and hot water, obviously as well, to dissolve it. So I put that in there, I can always put a few more than that, so I might make a few out of that one. Just touch it up a bit. So that goes in for the next ready to hatch. The other one of those, so that's this one, you'll see it's got more pupae and you can actually probably see flies hatching out of that and hanging around in there. So that's the flies that are hatching at the moment. So in 2 days time it'll come out and get tossed and there'll be a fresh lot goes in. So this goes in, flies will swarm that and I'll try and, this goes back in. Just like that, you'll see just how much they swarm that in a minute. And I'll fill the box up again. Only got a couple hundred flies out. Oops. Fortunately, it's a couple hundred metres there. I always tell the neighbours out. They're like, "Geez, a lot of flies around here." Yeah, oh, you please flies. Yeah, I said, yeah, but I can't be mine because I put rings on mine. So, yeah, that's it basically. So that's every. Now, some people, obviously, if you're not in a barn, if it's just a residential area, they'd continue their box up and have this sealed as well, so that this section maybe got a door or something like that, so that these containers are still kept warm, but they're sitting there enclosed so that any flies, because obviously if you leave this a day extra, flies will start hatching, there's gazillions of them. Now, for most finch breeders, they feed this stuff out a day earlier than I do, before it turns to pupae. The finches prefer the maggots, whereas for me, I like to feed it out when it's half pupae, so that when I feed it out, then during the day, or I feed it in the afternoon actually, after I finish work, so that during the day, there's flies hatching. And some of my little honey eaters, particularly the scarlet honey eaters and the spinebills, they sit next to this container. They sit there during the day, waiting for the flies to hatch. They will eat the maggots and the pupae, but they prefer the flies. So they sort of sit there waiting for the flies. And when you're in the ovaries, you never see a fly. They've stopped it. Anyway, I'll show you how that swarmed the stuff. I'll just take the get the camera off here, if I can work it out. It's sitting on a tripod. Okay. So I'll show you a little bit closer. So in this box, I'm just going through this door. I hope that's focused. Because I've got my glasses on, so I can't really see. But you can probably see that the one that's clean, and as I say, this box hasn't been cleaned out for maybe 5 years. They've absolutely swarmed that brown and milk mix. So they're all in there, they're both drinking, but they'll start laying their eggs. So there's, I don't know how many flies are in there. I don't know, it's pretty high resolution, you can count them if you want. But there's a few there. So that is his system. Hope that helps.